Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
Today we're going to be talking about funerals, or ways to honor the dead. It's not something we like to talk about a lot, but these things do happen in life. People do pass on, and we need to remember the dead or honor them in many different ways. Of course, most of us just have funerals and stuff like that, and a burial or cremation and stuff like that. But there are other ways to remember the dead in different parts of the world.
There are. A friend of mine had a son pass away, and they commissioned an artist to create a bench to put in a park. So there are different ways to honor the memory of people that you love. Could be friends. It could be someone famous who's done something famous in the world, help the world in some way, like a famous scientist or an artist. But it could be somebody close to you, like your mom or dad. So we want to honor them. We want to remember them. And that's what we're going to be talking about in this article, different ways of remembering those who have passed on.
So let's get to it, everybody. Let's find out about ways to honor the dead in our article today. Let's read the entire contents right now. In all cultures across the world, people honor and remember their dead relatives. They do this in many different ways. In Western cultures, it's common to visit their graves or to bury or scatter their ashes in a special location. In Eastern cultures, meanwhile, ancestor worship is carried out by burning incense and paper money, leaving offerings, and cleaning relatives' tombs at certain times of the year. These traditional ways of venerating the dead continue to be performed today. However, companies around the world are providing an increasing number of new services for families to do something special to commemorate their loved ones. A French company has come up with a way to capture a very important aspect of a person, their smell. Its scientists take old clothes or other personal items belonging to the deceased. Next, they isolate the chemicals that make up their particular odor. These are then made into a perfume that the bereaved relatives can use whenever they find themselves missing their loved one. Social media and people's online presence play a big part in modern society. Due to this, tech companies are looking at remembering the dead through some internet platforms. In fact, you can even set this up before you pass away. For a fee, one company produces tweets on your Twitter feed as if you were still alive. Facebook is also getting in on the act. In February 2015, it announced that users can choose someone to manage their account in the event of their death. This way, all the photos and other precious memories won't be lost. Even if these modern methods seem a little odd, they still serve the same purpose, to honor the people we love and to ensure they are never forgotten.
Okay, guys, in all cultures across the world, people honor and remember their dead relatives. We love our family members, and so we want to remember them always. If you really love them a lot, you want to honor them. If you honor someone, you show a lot of respect for them by remembering them, remembering things they've done. And so here, this word relative just means someone who is related to you. So you're related by blood or perhaps by marriage. If you're related by marriage, you're talking about your in-laws. For example, if you get married, your wife or husband's family, they're not blood relatives, but they are your in-laws, and they're relatives as well. So we want to find some way to honor and remember those who pass on because we've become close to them. We love them.
Honor is being used as the verb here to show great respect or admiration for someone. It can also be a noun. It would be a great honor to come to your party, for example. And so, yes, we want to show respect to our dead relatives, and people do this in many different ways. Okay, let's talk about what is done in Western cultures, like in North America and Europe. It's common to visit their graves or to bury or scatter their ashes in a special location. So indeed, someone will have passed away and their body will have been buried in a cemetery, and you might go visit their graves. I did that the last time I was in my hometown. I visited the graves of my grandparents. Or there is also the choice of having their bodies cremated or burned, and then you store the ashes in an urn. That is what happened to my parents-in-law. They were cremated, and their bones are in an urn out in Nangang there. And in this case, though, sometimes you can have your ashes scattered. A lot of people want to have their ashes spread or scattered at sea, or maybe in a forest or someplace like that. There's also the option in Taiwan of having your ashes buried under trees.
If you scatter something, you can throw it in various directions. It's sort of random. You just kind of toss it out there and it goes where it goes. Or you can use scatter to talk about something found just every once in a while in an interval. For example, we could say in Taiwan, there are convenience stores scattered on just about every corner. You can find them. So they're all over the place. But here we're talking about actually taking someone's ashes after they've been cremated and then throwing them in a particular area. Sometimes people like to have their ashes scattered at sea. Some people request that their ashes be scattered around their favorite mountain, or perhaps they have a favorite location where they have spent a lot of time thinking or having fun, and they want their ashes scattered there. So that's what some of us do to honor our relatives, their last wishes, their last requests. In Eastern cultures, meanwhile, ancestor worship is carried out by burning incense and paper money, leaving offerings, and cleaning relatives' tombs at certain times of the year. For example, tomb cleaning festival. We do that here in Taiwan. Of course, Taiwan is part of the Eastern culture we're talking about right now. Your ancestors are your family members that preceded you. So they were born before you. So your ancestors who came before you, when they pass away, you might want to honor them by continuing to worship them. We worship people by honoring them and showing reverence and respect. We typically use worship to talk about worshiping God or a deity. But here we're talking about actually honoring and worshiping our ancestors, which is very popular in the Eastern culture or the Eastern part of the world.
Yeah, we often go out to the mausoleum in Nangang there and burn incense and paper money and leave offerings there, maybe some food and stuff like that. And, well, they are in a mausoleum there, so we don't really need to clean the tombs. But here in Taiwan, of course, you've got Tomb Sweeping Festival, and some people actually have tombs for their dead relatives. Probably more in the countryside, because in the cities there's not enough space for that. They're pretty much requiring everybody to be cremated these years. Okay, now let's move on now to the next paragraph here. It says, these traditional ways of venerating the dead continue to be performed today. So they're still going on. To venerate means, again, to honor or respect the dead. And however, companies around the world are providing an increasing number of new services for families to do something special to commemorate their loved ones. So yes, indeed, nowadays, maybe it's a little boring to just have a funeral for your relative and put the body in the ground, or to cremate the body and scatter the ashes at sea. And that's too cliche. Everybody does that. We want to do something different for our relatives. After all, they were very special.
I wanted to mention briefly, because we don't see this word very often. To venerate is a verb. As Tom says, it means to honor the dead or respect. But it often is another word for revere. So you regard someone with great respect by venerating them. For example, Mother Teresa is being venerated as a saint these days for her wonderful life and her service while she was alive. To venerate is often just used or most typically used for someone who has passed away. So be careful when you use that verb. Now, as Tom said, sometimes people want to try something new. They're getting tired of the old ways, the old traditions of honoring our loved ones or our relatives that have passed on. So we've got some ideas here to share, to pass along. They're interesting. One of the things that people are wanting to do is to come up with something special to commemorate their loved ones. We use the word to commemorate when we want to celebrate a particular occasion. It could be a person we want to celebrate, but it also could be a special occasion like a particular date, like an anniversary, right? Mm-hmm. Or some sort of celebration because you want to remember an event or an activity like a war, or maybe someone has a memorial to someone. So you want to recall and show respect for something or someone in a particular type of ceremony. In particular, we use ceremonies to commemorate people, but you can also use actions. For example, there's a French company who has come up with a way to capture a very important aspect of a person, their smell. We're going to talk about how they're going about this process, how they came up with the idea. It's kind of interesting. And kind of how we feel about it, too. I think smell is a very important part of our memory. We're going to come back after a short break. We're going to listen to our Chinese teacher and then come back to talk about different ways to kind of shake up tradition to honor those who have passed on.Hello
everyone, my name is Tina. 今天我们要看的主题呢，是跟来纪念我们的先祖有关的一些主题。首先我们来看到在第一段的第二个句子里面提到呢 They do this in many different ways.在这里面的 this 指的就是前面提到的 honor and remember their dead relatives 能够呢去崇敬然后呢去纪念他们已经逝去的亲属有了这样子的一个前提然后在空格一后面的句子提到 in Eastern cultures 所以呢会看到我们来尊敬祖先的方式东西文化各有不同后面的句子提到了东方的文化所以前面呢我们就可以选择的标准答案是 Sentence C Sentence C 里面写着 In Western cultures it's common to visit their graves or to bury or scatter their ashes in a special location在这里提到的是在西方文化呢很普遍常见的是会看到呢去拜访逝者的坟墓或者是在特定的地点呢来埋葬或者是撒放他们的骨灰所以在这里前面提到用不一样的方式再来做西方跟东方文化的比较所以第一题的标准答案就选择 C 选项第二个空格呢是第二段的一开始的句子我们来看一下第二段后面在这里所提到的 However, companies around the world are providing an increasing number of new services for families to do something special to commemorate their loved ones在这里提到呢这些全世界的这样子的公司呢他们提供的是一种新的服务New services 让这些家属呢可以做一些特别的事物来纪念他们的挚爱在这里的 commemorate 就是有纪念的意思那我们要来做一个对照跟比较可以用 however 来比较新的服务跟以前传统的方式来相对照所以第二题我们就可以选择 sentence A 在 A 的选项里面提到的是 These traditional ways of venerating the dead continue to be performed today其实刚刚所提到的东西方文化来崇敬往生者呢这种比较传统的模式事实上到今天还是持续着然而后面的文章提到有一些 new services 所以在这里搭配文意第二题的标准答案就可以选择 sentence A
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Okay, welcome back. And again, we're talking about different ways to venerate the dead, to commemorate your loved ones, besides having a funeral or cremating them and scattering their ashes in the woods or something like that. Let's go to France here. We've got a French company. They have come up with a way to capture a very important aspect of a person, their smell. So if you come up with something, that means you have an idea or you have created a new idea. For example, I could say, just give me 24 hours to come up with a plan to save our town. Otherwise, it's going to go down the toilet. So here, they've come up with a way to capture a very important aspect or feature of a person, their smell. Sounds kind of weird, but I think if you think about it, you realize, yes, everybody does have their own unique aroma.
I love that about this idea because I was telling Tom during the break, my mom had a great smell. I wish I had that in a bottle. I did take some of her things like her powder and some of her, perfume, but it wasn't even perfume. She had her own unique smell. So what they're trying to do at this French company is they're having their scientists take old clothes or other personal items that belonged to the deceased and then trying to focus in or isolate the smell that those items have and then make it into a perfume. So it's kind of an interesting idea. When you talk about the deceased, be very careful not to use this word with someone who has just lost someone that they love. It's kind of a more clinical, kind of an emotional word that we use to talk about people who have passed away. We never use this word to talk about people we love or that we know who have passed away. It's something that a doctor would use to talk to other doctors in the hospital or a scientist would use. Please don't use this to talk to people who have lost someone they love.
It's a very sensitive subject, so make sure you know the proper vocabulary. But again, this is more of a technical scientific word, so yes, indeed, they find some old clothes or personal items, maybe jewelry or something like that, their shoes, maybe their socks or something like that. And they probably put these items under a microscope and they look for chemical signs and then they look for that particular odor or smell or aroma, and then they're made into a perfume. Some people say perfume. I say perfume myself.
I say perfume too.
Okay, I guess both of those are correct.
They are.
But in any case here, the bereaved relatives can smell their loved ones by just getting out that perfume. And bereaved here means that you're somebody who feels sad because someone has passed away.
Yeah. If you see this word bereave or bereavement, you know that someone has lost someone that they love and they are in mourning. They're very sad. So this word is only used for the death of someone close to you. So the bereaved relatives can then use that perfume that they come up with when they find themselves missing their loved one. Odor, I want to point out, usually refers to a smell that's not very attractive. We use odor when we're talking about something that doesn't smell as good. Perhaps as something that's fragrant. Fragrance is a positive way to talk about that.
Or aroma is positive too.
Aroma is positive. Fragrance is a positive word. Odor could be something that you smell when a dish is burnt in the kitchen or a young teenage boy takes off his shoes and his socks smell.
Yeah, don't remind me. Yeah.
But, everybody has their own scent. I think guys tend to have more odors than women do. My mom actually smelled quite good. So it depends on what they're finding. Someone might want the smell of their dad, who probably had a very strong scent or odor in the form of a perfume. It's still something that makes them feel good because it brings back good memories.
Yes, don't underestimate the value of smell because it can trigger some pretty strong emotions. So that's a pretty good idea there. Now, let's go on and talk now about social media. That's one way to venerate the dead or show your respect to the dead. Social media and people's online presence play a big part in modern society. That seems to be true. Everybody has a Facebook profile or their avatars or they are online or WhatsApp or what were the other ones?
Instagram.
Yeah, stuff
Twitter.
like that. Yeah, I don't have Instagram or Twitter.
I love Instagram.
Myself. Yeah, I'm only going to go so far with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to lose my personal identity to the internet, but in any case here, it's still important to people having that online presence to let people know you're there and posting stuff and making comments and reading stuff and pushing like and all that kind of stuff. It's a big part in modern society, or it plays a big part in modern society. And due to this, or because of this, technology companies, are looking at remembering the dead through some internet platforms. So basically, a platform is like a web page or something like that. And I guess they're offering different ways for you to remember your deceased relatives.
In fact, here's an example. You can even set this up before you pass away. So I guess if you're planning on passing away soon, you might want to set this up. For a fee, it will cost you some money. One company produces tweets on your Twitter feed as if you were still alive. I'm not sure how that works. You know, if they have to come up with things they think you might say, or if you submit tweets before you pass away and say, post these over the next 5 years. It's kind of creepy for me. I think this is a not such a hot idea.
Kind of weird, yeah.
Yeah, when I go, I just want to be left in peace. I don't want people to have to, constantly be sad to see my name, too. It is sad, especially for that first year after you lose someone. So I don't know if I'd want to see tweets and think, oh, they're still alive, and then realize once again, no, they're gone, which hurts. So as if just means just the same as. So it's an interesting idea. I think it's a little weird. Facebook is also getting in on the act, of course, because Facebook, I think, wants to control the world.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you get in on the act, it means you're participating. You don't want to be left behind. You want to be engaged. You want to participate. You don't want to be left out. You want to get in on the act.
Yes, Facebook does not want to be left behind, so they're participating as well. Last year in February of 2015, Facebook announced that users can choose someone to manage their account in the event of their death. So if you die and you want to continue having your Facebook page, you can arrange for someone to take care of your account, to manage that account in the event of your death. In the event here just means in case you die.
In case of your death. This way, all the photos and other precious memories won't be lost. I think that's a good idea because you don't want to lose all that stuff. I know some people set up Facebook pages for people who have passed away already as a remembrance, but this is different. You'd actually say, hey, in case something happens to me, this person's in charge of my account. I give them access to everything. You'd have to trust that person a lot, of course, because they could mess things up for you while you're still alive. So pick someone that you trust, of course. If something's precious, it's very, very valuable to you. And a lot of things can be precious. Precious memories, precious friendships that you have. Things can be precious in terms of monetary value or money. Precious gems like diamonds and rubies. But here it's memories that you don't want to lose, and photos, which are really valuable. Now, even if these modern methods seem a little weird, a little odd, they still serve the same purpose. Their purpose is their intent, what they're there for. If you serve a purpose, it just means that's what you're intended to do. So what are they intended to do? Well, they might be weird, but they still are able to honor the people we love and to ensure that those that we've lost or that have passed on are never forgotten. So, they might be a little weird, but for some people, it might be just what they're looking for.
And I think there are other ways to be remembered as well. I think I've heard of something where they take your ashes and kind of crush them down into diamonds or something like that. And people can wear the diamond on their ring as a remembrance to the person. I'm sure there are many other ways, but when I go, I just want my body tossed in the woods and I want to be eaten by squirrels. Okay, that brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you for attending, but we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher before we say goodbye.
在这里提到的呢，来纪念逝者，我们可以锁定的就是把他们的味道保存下来。在第3个空格前面的句子提到 Its scientists take old clothes or other personal items belonging to the deceased. 那么科学家呢就拿出这个已经过世的人他的像是衣服或者是其他比较私人的物品，然后借由这样的方式可以保存这些气味呢。第三题可以选择一选项。一选项里面的句子提到 Next, they isolate the chemicals that make up their particular odor. 在这里提到的是接下来，前面提到先把东西拿过来，接下来要做的就是把这种会造成特殊气味的化学物质 chemicals 把它给抽取隔离出来，用了动词 isolate 这样子的一个意思。所以第三题顺着前面的文意要保留气味的做法就是这么做，所以标准答案就选择一选项。第三段一开始的句子提到 Social media and people's online presence play a big part in modern society. 当然咯，在现今的社会，不管是社群的媒体或者是人们在网络的存在感，也是一个很重要的一件事情。那顺应这样的文意，当然就跟网络有关咯。所以第四题我们可以选择 D 选项。第一选项的句子里面提到 Due to this, tech companies are looking at remembering the dead through some internet platforms. Due to this, 归因于此，有鉴于此。那么这些科技公司呢，就在想方法，可以透过一些 internet platforms 网络的平台来纪念这些已经逝去的人。所以第四题的标准答案就选择 D 选项。而后面提到了 Twitter 以及 Facebook， 在第五个空格前面提到 Facebook is also getting in on the act， 这里代表着是 Facebook 这个社群网站呢，同样也掺了一脚。那么顺应这样的文意，第五题我们可以选择 F 选项。In February 2015, it announced that users can choose someone to manage their account in the event of their death. 在2015年的2月呢 Facebook 就宣称呢，使用者可以呢在他们过世之后，当然是在过世之前咯，可以先选择一个人来管理他的账号，也就是说在他死亡之后，还有人可以协助他管理这样的账号。顺应后面句子提到呢 This way, all the photos and other precious memories won't be lost. 一些重要的回忆以及呢照片就不会损失咯。以上就是今天的课文讲解，谢谢收听。
I'm going to try to talk Tom out of throwing his dead body into the forest to be eaten by squirrels. In the meantime, though, we hope that you'll think about this and find suitable ways to honor your own relatives and loved ones.
From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie.
Goodbye.
Bye.